Hi, I'm Melissa. I did my group project with Crystal, Suzanne, and Jessica, and our nursing therapist is Virginia Henderson. So we're going to go over her theory, her definition, the overview, how we could use this in our nursing practice, and then we're going to go over a little critique of the theory, some limitations that we might see it. So she was born in 1897 in Kansas, Missouri. And she received her early education at School for Men. It was actually the Army School of Nursing at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. And then she continued on that education um, at Columbia University. She got a bachelor's and a master's degree, which was really impressive in the 1930s. She wrote 3 different books. I'm going to let you read them right there. And she did nursing research at Yale University. It was an 11-year project. She published a 4-volume index and created a framework for evidence-based practice, which is incredible whenever you think that that is a huge part of our nursing profession today. She advocated to define nursing in terms of patient independence and then the role of nurses. So Virginia says that a patient is someone that needs assistance to achieve independence and wholeness of mind and body. So there's somebody that needs some help, but our main goal should be to get them back to that independence as quickly as possible. She clarified the practice of nursing as separate from physician practice and clarified the science of nursing. So what the physician does obviously is very important, but what we does is also very important, and it's our job is so important for advocating for that patient. And so clarifying our roles and responsibilities is huge. Easily. Oh, sorry. She provided a universally used system for recording patient observation, and that's really important to keep things consistent across the field and from across the country, from state to state and hospital to hospital. And that's just going to help patients with consistency. We're going to go over this quote a little bit later. So she stressed that nurses contribute towards healthcare by enabling their patients to make independent healthcare decisions. We should be educating, encouraging them to take care of themselves. The whole goal is for them to get back to the life that they were living and have a good quality of life. They should be dependent on us for as little time as possible. So in her book, she has a quote that the complexity and quality of service is limited only by the imagination and the competence of the nurse who interprets it. And that's in All Good. And the way that you can interpret that is really reinforces the idea that we have the power to shape the patient's care through their skills and creativity and dedication. So a patient's care is really dependent on us as a nurse, and so we should really make sure that we are focused on them and that we are trained to the very best of our ability and that we're really thinking outside the box and thinking about them holistically, the entire patient. We're going to go over the theory definition and her key concepts. Gotta keep moving myself out of the way. I'm sorry. So, Um, need theory is going to focus on meeting a patient's basic needs. We're going to go over her basic needs of a patient in just a moment. It really emphasizes the nurse's role in patient independence. You're going to hear me talk about that through the entire presentation because that's really what her theory is based off of, is patient independence. Great focus on the nurse-patient relationship. This should be a relationship. We should be advocating for them. We should be knowing what they want, what they need, to the best of our ability. And this need theory is a really key framework in our nursing practice. So, definition of nursing is that we're assisting individuals, either sick or well, and their activities that contribute to health, recovery, or a peaceful death. And I think it's really easy to remember that a peaceful death is important, and that is a part of our jobs sometimes, is ensuring that they get there how they want as best as possible. And then on the other flip side of that, like I said, regaining independence as quickly as possible. They should not be dependent on us for very long. This highlights your 14 basic needs of patients. I'm going to let you go through that. Let me move my head out of the way. So I'll let you read it individually, but it really breaks it down into your physiological needs. Obviously, we need to be able to breathe, we need to be able to eat, we need to be able to sleep and rest, we need to be able to maintain body temperature. And then there's your safety and security needs. We need to make sure that the patient's not getting hurt, so that they don't come in again as best as possible. We should educate them on, how not to fall, what to do if you fall. And then your psychosocial needs. It's really important that, they have somebody at home to help them if need be, people to help encourage them. And then, religious background as well. We need to make sure that that entire patient is taken care of, very holistic way of looking at it. And if all of these are met, then you are taking care of all of the needs of your patient. So it's a pretty simple breakdown of making sure that we're hitting all of this for them. Another important concept is our roles for patient care. So typically, whenever we start out, we're a substitute for the patient. They can't do their basic needs themselves. So we're substituting for them. And then we're starting to help them. They're able to do a little bit, but they're still not 100%. So we're just filling in the blanks there. And then we really get to where we should be a partner with the patient. We're working together to promote that health. We're making sure that all of their needs are going to be met before they go home so that they can be completely independent. Do they need a walker? Do they need some home health? Do they need more education? Is there new meds that they have that they don't know about? Do they have a new disease that we should be educating them on? Like I said, independence and patient-centered care. The goal is to make the patient as independent as possible and quick as possible. She's very holistic. It is about the entire patient. It is their biological, their psychological, their sociological, and that spiritual well-being. If all of that's met, then you've done as good of a job as you possibly can for that patient, and that is our goal. That nurse-patient relationship, that we should be therapeutic and we should be really supportive, and it should be a friendship, and we should really be attuned to what their needs are, and what they consider, their quality of life, because it's going to be different for every patient. So you really have to get to know them. So how can we use this in our nursing? Like I said, you're either going to be in a substitutive role. Oh, let me move my head again. I'm sorry. Supplementary or a complementary role with your patient. Just going to keep bobbling around here. We're the voices of our patients. So advocacy, we should make sure that their pain's taken care of. We need to make sure that their physical and occupational therapy needs are taken care of. Do they need home health? Are we meeting their educational needs? That's huge, I think, and it's very easy to lose sight of uh, while we're working with them is making sure that we are properly educating them because we lose track of time and there isn't a whole lot of time. And then cultural differences is huge as well. We need to make sure that we are respecting their religious needs, their cultural needs, because that is part of treating your entire patient. We're not treating a disease, we're treating a patient. I move myself. So, clarity, it's really clean and well defined. It's got those 14 easy basic needs. It's a fairly simple framework, focuses on those fundamental needs, really easy language to be able to understand. And it's pretty applicable in a lot of different healthcare settings as well. It's easily accessible. Like I said, it's got good common language, easy to understand and interpret, and integrate into your practice without having to think about it a lot. It's really important because it treats that patient as a whole. Like I said, we're not treating a disease, we're treating a patient. It does have some limitations, and the limitations that I would say is the applicability in specialties. So in our, environment, hospital environment now, we have critical care settings. So if patients in the ER, it's going to be a different approach, and then they're going to go to the ICU, and that tends to be a very substitutive role. And we don't get to do supplementary um, very much. And we very rarely get to do complementary type of care with them. So we can have this theory in mind and use it, but it's going to be very hard for the continuity of care to use this theory from start to finish with that patient. But if you think about where they are and you're constantly reassessing that patient that you have for what you have today and what they're going to need, then you can still use this theory, but you're just not going to see necessarily the full extent of it like they probably would have back then. And then interdisciplinary collaboration. We have a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration now than we ever have before. We have PTOT specialists, we have your social workers, we have all sorts of different collaborations. It's really important to the patient care, but it would probably be hard for them to use this framework. So it's going to be important for us to keep that in mind and just really know our patient's needs um, and try and relay it on to everybody else. So that's the limitations that I would say that this theory has. But otherwise, it's very broad, it's very easy to use, it's very intuitive. So just gonna leave you with a conclusion right there. She was very neat person, very fun to research. I'm glad we got to do this. And I think that is a very important theory. And like I said, it's very intuitive, but then also enlightening to kind of go back over and easy to easy to interpret and use in practice, but also very easy to forget some of these things as well. So I think it's important to go back over it. I'm going to leave you with our references that we used here. We went through, obviously, through our books. We have a few different research articles in here that we were able to use through our presentation. And a lot of it came through our books. It was really a lot to go through, but thank you for your time. And that is Miss Virginia Henderson.